how do you feel about just how content and after movies have changed from H2O until now?
There are other great events out there, but it's not the same.
How do you feel about these new speed ramping trendy edits?
So I like them at first, and then every time I'm scrolling, I'm like, oh, there's another one, same song, same song. Oh, there's another one. People who get into this world spend so much of their time editing. Don't go in with the mindset to fix and post.
What's a good starter camera, you think?
You can't go down the rabbit hole of just buying gear just to buy gear just because you think it's gonna up your level. The companies do that to you because they come out with new stuff year after year and it's got all these new features and you think you need that, but like, do you? You know, you really don't.
Welcome back to another episode of the Street Alpha podcast. I am your host, Tukes. For those of you guys who are watching, please make sure you guys smash that like button. Keep showing your support. Really appreciate everybody who's been listening to the podcast. With this episode, we're going to provide as much value as possible. As you guys know, I've been filming for about 8 years. And today, we have a guest who's also been filming probably for longer than that, or maybe around the same time. Not really sure. We'll talk about it in a second. But we're going to try to provide as much information for you guys, all you car videographers, and even some photographers if you guys are interested in learning how to shoot cars and what goes into it. So let's clap it up for Sam, also known as Schwaa Films.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
All right, so I'm happy that you're here again.
Thank you.
This is another refilm. We filmed like 2 months ago?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, so like 2 months ago. And all I did was ramble about client stuff, weddings. Like it wasn't really a good episode, not on you, on my part.
It's like a therapy session.
Yeah, it was a therapy session. And I was just ranting about things that like I felt were important. So I just felt like it wouldn't do your episode justice.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Today, we can talk about things that are relevant to the car community and car photographers, and hopefully we can help people out and also get a little bit of your backstory as well.
For sure.
So you started filming, what, 8 years ago or longer than that?
When I was 13, so what is that?
Oh, 13?
Yeah. Technically, yeah.
Are you 30 yet?
I'm actually 33 in 2 days.
Oh, okay. Damn. Why is everyone...
I'm old, bro.
Yeah, I know. I feel like every episode is the same thing with like the age. It's like, I think I just have this thing in my head where everybody's younger than me. I don't know what it is. I thought you were younger than me. That's crazy.
Baby face, you know?
Yeah, so 13. So damn, you've been filming way longer than me. Then that's probably like twice, so 16 years maybe?
It wasn't cars and stuff then though. It was a lot different.
So you're doing skateboarding stuff, right?
Yeah.
So what were you filming with back then at 13? What year was that?
That had to have been 2010, 2002?
Oh, 2?
Yeah, 2002.
Damn.
Right?
Would you have like a Sony, a cassette?
2003? Yeah, mini DV, bro.
Mini DV
and the tapes are mad expensive. And I had like no money. And the tapes are like 4 packs for like $60. Shit's expensive.
That's wild.
Expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even, I actually filmed a video like years ago with like a old camcorder. And it was pretty cool. But I never understood how people back in the day used to like go through all that process of like transferring and like all that stuff. It's just like a hassle.
Nightmare. You'd have a capture camera because you didn't want to screw up the regular camera, the expensive camera that you had. So you bought like a burner camera to run the tape through to offload a foot. It was a lot.
It definitely was not for me, but it definitely gives you a certain aesthetic to like your footage. It's
for
definitely a cool thing.
Yeah.
So when did you start with cars?
Cars, I started when I was about 17-ish. Like 16, 17, I kind of like really start to dive into that more.
Did you have a car already at the time?
So at that time, I had a Hyundai Tiburon.
Oh, I used to want one of those.
Did you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. When I was around that age, yeah.
Yeah, I had a Hyundai Tiburon. It was like one of the, the first cars that, you kind of modify. It was like cheap. So it was good to have. It was a good first car. Yeah. But yeah, it was around then I started to really... Like
it had like some good body lines though. That's what drew me to it. Like the
it
body
did.
lines.
It was just slow.
Transmission
was horrible.
Right.
Quality wasn't good overall. But I mean, it was fun.
You don't think about that when you're young though.
No,
like you're just like, yo, I used to want a Celica. I used to want that car too. Like all the cool looking cars with like shapes and like different, Ferrari looking type cars. I was more drawn to those, but I just never could afford them. So.
Yeah, no, it's a great first car to modify, and like, you know, with that kind of stuff, you get excited.
Yeah.
You know, it's cheap to mod, so you just kind of have fun with it.
Right. So, you were filming, you had a Tiburon all that time, and then basically you were filming for fun, or did you have goals, like a goal to kind of film for a living, make money out of it, or it was just like a thing where you just had like a hobby, basically?
So I was kind of filming for fun at first, but I knew at some point, because I liked doing it so much, because coming from skateboarding, I was filming that all the time. Right. So coming from that, I knew I wanted to do something with it. And I've always been into like action sports, adrenaline, cars, all this kind of stuff. So cars was a great outlet for me to start and do that.
Right.
So it was kind of just natural that it was gonna kind of like proceed that way, you know?
Right. So, what was your first paid gig?
My first paid gig. My first had to have been Petrolworks. Mo over at Petrolworks.
Mo.
Yeah.
That's my guy. Shout out to Mo.
Yeah. Mo's the man. He's a G.
Yeah.
OG.
Mo is, we're going to have him on the podcast soon.
Oh, you got it.
Every time I would drive by there, he always has like mad cars over there.
Millions of cars.
And I was just like, yo, why? Like, but it's cool. It's good marketing. You know, you have a bunch of cars, crazy builds out there too. Like
working on the craziest things.
RX-7. I've seen the wildest builds at his shop. So I'm sure at the time when he does come on the podcast, we'll definitely be able to talk about.
He's got a lot to talk about for sure.
I see he's making some dope content as well right now. A lot of valuable information. So shout out to Mo.
I've done some stuff with him for in the automotive world, so we can dive into that a little.
Yeah. No, so Mo, damn, that's a good place to start because he has cars, like all the dope cars.
So that was a really good jumping off point. One of my buddies introduced me to him, and he didn't live like too far from me, so it was great. So I was actually working like construction at that time, and you know, I wasn't full time doing video yet.
Right.
So I would come home after work and I would go to his shop and film what he had in the shop, whether he was working on something or it's like a finished build, or we went out and did something. Like we were doing some like really cool stuff, and that was a really good outlet for me to start, because not only am I filming really cool shit there, but there's also the owners of the cars.
Right.
So I'm like networking with them at the same time, and Mo's always been really cool with introducing me to people and stuff like that. So I met a lot of people in that world, including this guy named Anthony who ran Importgram, which ended up getting me into like the car meet world, and that like launched to a whole different direction. Yeah.
That sounds like a classic kind of thing.
It was big back in the day. Yeah, it was big back in the day.
Importgram.
I'm sure a lot of people watching probably knew of it, but yeah.
So you definitely recommend going into a shop and basically just, you know, offering, I don't want to say your services, but just kind of working for free basically, and kind of hopefully networking and kind of getting more clients through the shops.
Yeah.
Or the clients that come into the shop.
If you're starting out in the automotive field and like you really love this stuff, I mean, detailing shops, vinyl wrapping, performance shops, and again, if you're starting out, you don't have to go in there, you know, gung-ho and be like, hey, I'm going to charge you this because this is, you know, what I deserve.
Right.
Like if you're new to it, you can, you know, ease yourself in, you know, make good connections, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, every one of these shops has even like car rental places too.
Right.
Like exotic rental places. Like all these people, you know, they have car owner, whatever, you know, that's great networking.
Yeah. I do the same thing. So I used to do the same thing. I still do. I think that's one of the best ways to get your foot in the door and kind of consistently have clients, because unless you're working with a shop owner who is a douchebag and he's just like, no, you can't shoot the clients, you're not gonna, you know, sometimes people get pissed off about that.
There's
when you
plenty
start
of people out there like
working with clients through the shop. But I think if you're in that situation, you probably shouldn't be working for that person, because you have to be able to grow as a videographer and a photographer. For sure. And if you're working for free already, you know, the guy should have the best, he should have, you know, he should care about you enough to
absolutely. You want to lift both of each other up.
Right.
You know, it can't be one-sided.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So after you started getting clients through there, you started like obviously blowing up more and starting shooting more content. Did you have a car at the time for yourself? Like, are you actually a car guy?
I'm definitely a car guy for sure.
You are.
Right now I don't, because all my money and time is invested into like growing this business and doing more stuff. So I have a 4Runner right now, but yeah, I had a Tiburon, I had a Genesis Coupe. At that time, I had a 350Z.
I remember that,
I had a Q50, and at that time, that 350Z was basically fully stocked. But down the line, it got a little modded actually right before H20. So there's
H20. Okay. So what year was that when you went to your first H20?
2014.
2014.
Yeah, 2014.
Oh, so you were OG. What year did H20 start?
Well, some people might might not say I'm OG. There are
That's what
people
I'm
out there
saying.
that are gonna be like,
Yeah.
yeah, this kid came in way late in the game.
Right,
But
right,
yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
when did it start? Do you know? H2O?
H2O?
Like the first year, or it's been going on for ages?
It's been going on for a long time, way before I went there.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, I think at least 2004, 2005. Like, it didn't start out as what people online see it as now. It's just
Right.
like, event in Ocean City. It started out like as an actual meet, and then it just kind of grew into this whole different beast.
So you weren't filming your first year there, right?
So I was.
Oh, you were?
But it wasn't anything serious as like the years after that. It was more so I was just kind of like capturing stuff for fun.
Yeah.
Vibes were immaculate. Awesome time there. I brought my 350Z down there. I was cruising with friends. We were just filming like random meetups and stuff. But it wasn't until 2015 was when I started actually like documenting the event.
So in 2014, when you were cruising, because that's a big thing right now. At Gatlinburg, that was like a hot topic where it's like takeovers and all these things are happening. And nothing really happened where it was like a takeover vibe. But apparently from people who were going to Gatlinburg before, it seemed like the same kind of vibe where it was just like you go to gas stations, you go to like, local meetups, and you can just chill and watch cars on the strip. This year, from what I experienced, it was dope. A lot of people, I love to see a lot of people show up for anything car related. But however, like the cops were there, people were getting arrested, people were drinking while walking at the gas station and stuff like that. So those things, I guess people kind of look at and say, damn, like it used to be chill before and now it's getting crazy. It wasn't crazy, but I think next year it might be something where it's like a big deal because there's more attention on that event. So H2O in the beginning, it lasted a long time, but I think just with the times, I think from 2014 till now, or even COVID, I think things just got out of the hand because there weren't takeovers back then. I don't remember takeovers being a thing.
No, or like
don't
on
know
a
how it
whole
started.
different, smaller scale, if any, I mean, I thought 2014 through 2016 was mild, but there are going to be other people who say it was already like a shit show back then.
Right.
But the way I remember it, it wasn't even anywhere close to where 17 and up went to. 2014 and 15 for me, like it was. I mean, there was a hurricane one year, which sucks, which kind of like, put a damper on everything. But 2014, 15, and 16 were all like great vibes. It was all parking lot stuff. Everyone was kind of chill. I mean, there was like rowdy shit happening, but nothing even close to, 17, 18, 19, et cetera. So
the burnouts and stuff like that, that was always a thing. Because I remember when I went in 2018, not that I cared. Like it was dope. Like, like I said, anybody that showed up to a car event for the same reason, to share the same passion for cars, I fuck with it. But it's just the people that intentionally do things in front of cops or they, antagonize the cops and start trouble. It doesn't make it any easier for anybody else in the future. So, the burnouts were a big thing. Like people would just like swarm certain blocks, do burnouts, and the lines would happen. I thought it was cool. But it wasn't like on a main road or a strip, you know? So was that always a thing, or did that become more of a thing later on? Like
the burnouts were always a thing, but not to the scale it like grew to.
Right.
Like there's a difference in like doing burnouts for fun or like, in front of your friends, recording with cell phone, whatever. And then it became like this mob mentality sort of thing where like people would always like hundreds of people would egg you on. Like some people driving the script would get legitimately scared by how many people would actually like surround the car and be like, do a burnout. It's
intimidating. Yeah,
it is, not 100%. But some people, they get egged on by it for whatever reason and they just send it,
If you know, like when you're leaving a car meet and your car's not even like fast or anything, like somehow you end up doing stupid shit. Like, I don't know. It's hard because if you're in a certain car, people are going to be like, yo, send it. And it's like, I don't know, man. Like, should I really do it? And it's like, fuck, what's going to happen? And then most of the time it ends up being something that, unfortunate.
Well, it's also like different in the sense of like doing it in like a safer environment. But even if, you're leaving a meet or something, like if you want to do it for fun, like do it for yourself or like show off a little bit to the people, that's great. But like people do that stuff way more now for clout.
Yeah.
Social media has been a whole different beast in that regard, you know?
Do you think it's heavily affected? I mean, it is kind of common sense that it did. But why do you think that social media has changed the dynamic of H2O in general? Or even any car show or any big event now for that lasts a week?
It sucks to say, but a lot of people just want like, 15, 30 seconds of fame. Like social media has become this beast of like getting the most views, most followers, and people aren't really posting organic, creative stuff anymore. It's more so just, who does the wildest shit first for views. Yeah. And it's definitely, it's toxic 100%. And like, yeah, I don't love that part. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, no, and it sucks because we're as content creators, sometimes people can mistake us for like being the reason for all these things, right? So they'll think that because we're even with the podcast, like it could be something that's like bringing light to certain things that people don't really speak about in public, but it's also how you take the information and what you do with it.
For sure.
So us as content creators or car videographers, our intentions, at least for me, I'm sure for yourself too, are never to promote anything that's bad or to continue to, ruin the car scene. But I'm pretty sure people have looked at things that way and kind of said, okay, well, these people are highlighting all this stuff. That's why. I remember there was a comment today that I saw. You're good. There's a comment today that I saw saying something about how the takeovers are like all this stuff is happening because we're promoting it, we're showing it. But I don't think it has anything to do with that because I've been doing this for years and it's never been like, this is new to me. Like I went to a takeover thinking it was a car meet when I first got my Supra, and I'm like, oh, this is not a car meet. This is like this is like wild. So it's still very new. I'm not really sure where it started. But what I can say from my opinion is that like I think that it's just this generation of kids that just feel like this is what the car scene should be.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's what it should be, but that's just what it is.
I mean, even if they don't have cell phones out or recording anything, I was guilty of it when I was a kid doing stupid shit skateboarding, doing like jackass and CKY shit. Like people just want to show off in front of their friends too. Yeah. So it's one of those things where it really ruins the car culture a bit,
right. Right.
It's a
very controversial topic, and people are always going to have their opinion on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So did you ever get to enjoy H2O at all? Like during that time, like, because I know you film a lot, and normally when you're filming, you never really get to enjoy. I mean, I don't want to say you never do, but like you can't really party as much as everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy the process of filmmaking, obviously, and like I'm around cars, so I always have fun, but not in the sense of like I can go there for like a week to relax and like chill with my friends. It's great because I would go there and I would see people that I've either chatted with online, have never met in person before, and I meet them for the first time, or I meet up with friends who I haven't seen like a year or two, which is great. And like I can see them for a bit and chat and hang out for a little bit. It's never like, I can't just sit there and just hang for hours. Like capturing H2O in the way that I've documented it is it's a beast, man. I mean, you have like 100 different blocks there. You know, up and down the strip that you're trying to capture stuff on, document stuff on, and you're working like 24/7 basically.
You actually blew up off of H2O, basically. You think,
yes.
Right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
All your videos, like people were waiting for those videos because they like. I think that the after movie thing, like, I got that whole like. That whole culture of the after movie thing from like you, you, Crispy, Halcyon, you guys were always the videos that I would always look forward to seeing because especially with the views, it's like a ton of people are watching this. And I always enjoy when a lot of people see this stuff because it kind of brings light to that culture. Yeah. And H2O was like a big deal, so there are other car events that are a big deal as well. But for some reason, the after movies don't hit the same as H2O.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about, just how the content and after movies have changed from H2O until now overall?
H2O after movie, there's nothing like it. Yeah. Like there's no event like it now. Maybe there's something in the future, but it was so unique in itself. H2O was its own little like bubble and world that I don't think anything even now can compare to. There are other great events out there, but it's not the same. I mean, it's the environment and the people that are there that makes that after movie great. It's the strip, it's the ocean, it's all the condos that are all different colors, shapes, sizes, whatever. It's all the storefronts there, everyone walking around. It's 100, 120 blocks long, whatever, and people are just walking up and down the strip all day.
Right.
Where, you go to other events and it's too spread out, whereas H2O, it's spread out, but it's in just like one long like line. So people can just, you see everyone all the time because they're just driving up and down the strip and all that kind of stuff. So,
definitely a vibe.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
Definitely a vibe.
Was.
It was a vibe. I didn't have a car at the time when I went, but I just remember like, I wish I was there now with the same like time period because I would have enjoyed it a lot more. Especially when you have a car, it's so much better. Yeah. But you film, you enjoy the process, so you're not really you're enjoying the content more so. Do you get excited before you get home to like what's the process after that?
What's crazy is that when it's an event like that and you're doing it, filming it for like 5, 6, 7 days, you tend to forget like what you filmed. especially when you're filming for like 12, 14, 16 hours, you like forget what you filmed. So when I go back home, like on the drive home, I'm definitely excited because like I have a general idea of like how I want to put it together and like what the kind of content I capture was. But when I get home and like I'm spending hours searching through footage or, you know, sorting through footage and everything, I'm like, I filmed that? I don't even remember. So it's definitely, yeah, it's exciting because you get to also, like when I'm putting it together, I kind of get to relive it, which is the cool thing about it. And then that's another part of the reason why I do it. It's not just for me and my channel. It's for my friends to see, people who overseas watch the videos and they look forward to it. And like, it's for them to watch and enjoy also. It's not just, you know, my channel definitely 100% blew up because of H2O, but like I wouldn't go to H2O just for that sole fact, you know. I did it because it's fun overall and like people look forward to them, you know. The H2O videos never had really a shelf life. You could edit it 2 years later and it'll still do great just because people are searching for it. People want to watch the event. You know?
It's crazy. I think now it's more nostalgic because you don't really see it anymore. So it's like you kind of want to go back to those videos. I think you don't realize how important those videos are until like later on, because then you can go back and be like, damn, like I remember that. So I used to be big on like just capturing certain moments and then like stop recording. I hated recording for a long time. And now that I have much more of appreciation for filming and understanding why it's important to capture certain things, like that's a big thing, like making sure that you capture those moments, because if you miss them, you never get those back.
Absolutely.
So
H2O made me like grow as a filmmaker in that way.
Yeah,
really, because it made me focus on, or want to focus more on, the people and like what they're doing. The cars are great and like they're a showcase of the video. That's obviously one of the reasons why people want to come and watch it. But like the people make the video, you know, the excitement, the energy around them, and you know, that's kind of what I try to focus on for all other event stuff too. That is a big part of it.
So before we close out with the H2O section, because I know people wanted to hear your take on that. And yeah, H2O was a very nostalgic time period. What was your favorite year or best year of H2O?
My favorite year,
not from a content perspective where you got the most views, like the best year you would say as a whole, where everybody had like the best time.
Honestly, the first year I went there, 2014.
The first year?
Yeah.
2014.
2014. It was, I can't even tell you, like, so the people who went before me can obviously speak on that more, and I'm sure they have an even better experience. But in 2014, I can't even tell you how relaxed everything was. And obviously, like, I wasn't really filming it then, so I got to enjoy it a little bit more. But it was a completely different vibe than the following years. In terms of like content, like Mustang Kyle in 2017 was my favorite year because that thing was such a head turner. So
yeah, that thing is sick. All your content with his car always goes crazy. Yeah. That and the NSX that you filmed with the trailer, the half.
Oh yeah, dude.
Is it like a half of another car?
So he has a whole story on it. It's crazy. His name's Chris, and I believe it was a salvaged NSX that he cut.
Okay.
The thing, it is so cool, man. Like he travels with his dog like all around the US with that car.
It's wild.
And
it's on the back part is on bags too, right? The whole thing airs out.
When I saw him for the first time at Wolfsgart, and I was filming his car, and there was we were at a brewery there, and you know, I'm filming his car, and he's in the middle of this whole like crowd of people because they're all like amazed at what this thing is, right? Yeah. And all of a sudden he airs out the NSX, the front, and waits a few seconds, and all of a sudden he airs out the trailer, and you could hear everyone go like, "What the fuck? That's crazy!"
I know, I hear it. I thought you dubbed that audio in.
Nope.
I didn't know that was from the actual like the show or whatever it was at. That's so funny. Yeah, I remember seeing that clip. I'm like, what the hell? That's dope though. NSX is definitely a classic car, and they're great cars in general. They're just fantastic cars.
Timeless.
I definitely timeless, 100%.
It's sad to see it go for sure. Like I know 2020 was my last year there, and I know other people went the year after that, and I heard it wasn't the same for obvious reasons. And it's sad to see it go. I would love to see it come back one day. I doubt it ever will, but it'd be nice.
Probably won't.
But
sadly,
yeah, I doubt it. But I mean, anything else to share? I mean, I just don't want to see what happened there kind of translate to all other events, because I mean what we were just talking about with takeovers and stuff, you see it like almost everywhere now, and it's really just
yeah, it's
bro,
crazy. It's the first thing I see on my feed, somebody getting flipped in the air.
Yeah, I scroll past. I don't even know how people like going to them, to be honest, when like, you know, a challenger just doing donuts and some person gets hit in the legs and they fly like 20 feet.
I see it every day.
Crazy.
Every day. I'm sure you guys see it if you guys are watching car content. I'm pretty sure you guys see guys getting flipped in the air, people's pants flying off. Like,
bro, there are clips where people are shooting guns into the crowd and shit, which is why do you want to go to this? You know,
I don't know. I think you know what it is. You kind of have to be. I don't want to say careful, but like when you watch clips, sometimes they're taken out of context. Not saying that that's out of context, but like you never know why people go.
Yeah,
there's different cultures in different states. Maybe they never got the chance to go to car shows like we went to, so they probably don't even know any better.
Right.
You know, so. That's why I try not to judge anybody who does those things, but just know that it's probably not the best thing to do if you're messing around and getting law enforcement involved. I know there's topics where people say like street racing is just as bad. You're blocking roads. It can be just as dangerous, but we've already spoken about that on the podcast before. When you're blocking intersections and you have people standing around and you're doing donuts, that's probably a lot worse than just driving in a straight line with people behind you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was kind of finding with H20i. In 2019 is when I was really not enjoying it as much because it really took like a dark turn.
Yeah.
It was the point where I keep saying mob mentality, but like it's scary. It's like hundreds and hundreds of, honestly, it's like it's young kids. It's like anywhere between ages like 15 to like 20 is like crowds and crowds of kids. And it got to the point where like police enforcement there is spraying the sidewalks with like skunk spray to like, you know, disperse the crowds.
I saw
and
the
like
clips, yeah,
there's flares being thrown. Like that was 2019 was the year where I was like, I know for a fact 2020 is my last year there for sure. It's just like I'm gonna document it for, you know, the memories and stuff, because I know looking back like 10, 15, 20 years from now, I'm gonna really enjoy that, you know, and happy that I did that and documented it. But yeah, that was rough.
Well, H20, those days are gone, but it was great while it lasted.
Yep.
It's great while it lasted. Yep. So if somebody wanted to document, or let's say if somebody wanted to film car videos, right? Because that's what you are. You're car. Are you cool with that?
So.
Car videographer, or you want filmmaker? I don't know what people like to be called.
I don't care, bro. It's all good.
So I know people usually ask you a lot. They've asked me in the past, and you get the generic, what's the best camera? What kind of camera should I start with, right? What do you think is best for somebody just trying to get their feet wet a little bit and want to film cars and eventually make money doing it?
Yeah.
So like, what's a good starter camera, you think?
So now, since, you know, Sony's mirrorless cameras have been around for a good while now, you don't even have to buy something new. You can buy something used that's in good condition that, you know, is reliable. So Sony's, even their A7S or A7S II, you can get fairly cheaply now. You can just use a kit lens. You don't even have to get something extravagant. You can get like a $300 kit lens or whatever. I think it's like a 28 to 70, like variable f-stop or whatever it is. And there is so much you can do with that. I'm going to shout out Anthony Purcell Halcyon right now, because he used that kit lens on that Sony for, I think, like 10 years.
Halcyon shot with a kit lens?
Bro, some of the dopest shit ever. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. He was using that thing for so long, bro. And like when I first met him, I saw him using it. I was like, damn. Like I've seen your work before, and like I didn't translate the two, and I was like, wow, he really shot all that shit with this.
Did he shoot cartel funds with that lens or no?
That was the Tuner Evo. I'm like 99%.
No, it was the video where like the
oh yes,
colors were changing.
I'm like 99% sure. If he didn't use it for the whole, he might not use it for the whole thing, but I'm like 99% sure.
Were you sure it was a kit? Like was it a 28 to 70?
Yeah, kit lens.
F4. That's actually a really good
F4 to 5.6, whatever the hell it is.
That's not really a kit lens though. It was a Canon?
No, Sony.
Oh, Sony.
Yeah.
There's that one Canon that's like a 28 to 70, I think it is.
No. Yeah, not that.
That one's a really good camera.
Sony sells a kit lens with like most of their like mirrorless cameras. That's just an entry level kit lens. That's variable. I think it's like a 3.5 to 5.6, something like that. But yeah, I was blown away, dude. He was using that thing for so long. So it always just goes to show you, it's like, it's really not about the equipment, and people preach about this, but it's always quality and like the thought process behind what you're creating that makes people want to watch. I mean, you can shoot stuff on a cell phone now, and as long as the content's good and engaging, like it'll do well.
Right.
But you can't go down the rabbit hole of just buying gear just to buy gear, just get like the newest thing, just because you think it's going to up your level. That's not like necessarily true. And people always fall into the habit of that. I've fallen into the habit of that.
I have too. Yeah. I spent probably the good first maybe 4 years of my career buying stuff.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where like the companies do that to you because they come out with new stuff year after year and it's got all these new features and you think you need that, but like, do you? You know, you really don't. You can get away with basic gear for like a very long time. You can get a used Ronin M or even an RS2 for like fairly cheap now offhand.
What are they going for, the Ronin M's? That's the single-handed.
No,
that's the one I have. Yeah, the M is. They don't make those anymore, actually.
They don't, and the hard thing about them is that you have to find the batteries for them because they don't make them anymore. So you have to find them So you have to find them on like eBay or something. But bro, I had a Ronin M. I love that thing for like 7 years. That thing was an absolute workhorse.
Yeah,
and
I used it too,
my friend Cody right now is making it into actually like a thing, like a statue type thing for my office because I didn't want to, like, I'm not using it anymore, but like I didn't want to throw it out. So it's like, this thing like jump started so much to like what I do. So it's like, I gotta have him make something. But you don't have to get the craziest gear, but like a Sony A7S 1 or A7S 2 is great starter cameras, mainly because, well, also a lot of people tend to shoot in low light, and Sony's great for low light. Obviously.
Yeah, a lot of car stuff is done in. I mean, I don't want to say a lot of it's done in low light, but I have a lot of trouble shooting low light with car stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's difficult, and Sony helps remedy that a little bit, but you can also kind of like go overboard with it because when you're shooting cars at night too, you want to make sure the headlights aren't overexposed and all that kind of stuff. But that's a different topic. But Sony's entry like A7S and A7S2 is great.
So what do you think is better, Canon or Sony for car videos?
I prefer Sony. To be honest, it doesn't really like matter too much. Like, I don't think. I prefer Sony because of super lightweight, so it's easy to carry around. Its autofocus is amazing. People will complain that like Sony's color science isn't that good compared to Canon, but it's like I go in and color grade anything, like it's really not that bad. Yeah. You know, people will like nitpick stuff, like it's the quality of and content that you put out. But I definitely prefer Sony for car shooting. I mean, really, just like for the low light stuff too. Yeah. It's such a great run and gun portable camera for that kind of stuff.
No, 100%. I think the color situation used to be a thing until they came out with this whole new color science, and it's got 10-bit. So
yes, Sony's color science is way better than what
way
it used
better.
to. Way better.
You don't get that green skin tone anymore.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm not gonna lie. It used to be like pretty trash before, but like you can fix it. But like it was annoying too. You know.
Right. So I think the goal is just to have less work in post.
Yes.
Because when I first started filming, I used to do like, I'll fix it in post. Mm-hmm. Like I used to watch all these big movies and say, oh, they have crazy editors. Yeah. Like I can film it whatever I want and then I'll fix it in post. Mm-hmm. And then it's the worst mindset you can have. So now it's just like, even with the podcast, I try to make sure everything's good. Yep. That way, when I get home, I can have a smooth, efficient workflow. Yeah. You know, and the same thing with car videos, music videos, same thing. So if you guys have that mindset where you guys feel like you need to, you know, or if I'll fix it in post kind of mindset, get rid of it right now and just shoot right in camera. Yeah. Always shoot right in camera. I mean, if
you think about it, if you take the time to do your pre-production correctly and how you're setting up your shots and all this kind of stuff, you'll spend less time in the editing room. And like a lot of people who get into this world spend so much of their time editing, and I'm guilty of it too. And like, it's such a time sucker that it takes away from all the other like creative processes of the shoot that you're doing. So like, don't go in with the mindset to fix it in post. Yeah.
I mean, we're all going to be guilty of it. Everybody does that, you know. How do you feel about these new speed ramping trendy edits that you've been seeing lately?
So I like them at first, and then every time I'm scrolling, I'm like, oh, there's another one. Same song. Oh, there's another one. Same song. I think it's a great skill to learn, and I think it has its uses. It's not something that is gonna like last on social media. It's a trend. It's gonna go away at some point. But learning that skill set on how to do that style of speed ramp is great, because that also opens the door to learn like other things around that. You kind of like spider web out, which is great. I just, it's not something I would post like all the time. And now everybody does it, right? So I just hate seeing it literally all the time, because it's just the same thing. The content is so generic, you know? But it is a great skill to learn. Damn, bro, you smashed it out that thing.
I have the same mindset, and I think that people who filmed for maybe the past, we could say 5 years, because the trendy edits just kicked in like maybe 2 years ago, probably. You started to see it more 2 years ago, kicking on. But now, like people like us, we have a different mindset of like, you have more long form content in your mind. You're not doing vertical stuff. So everything now is just basically filmed for like 30 seconds. And nothing's like 4 minutes or even 30 minutes for features.
Right.
So I think now, in order for people to get views, the easiest way is to have something like captivating or like capturing your attention the first 3 seconds. And I think that people are taking advantage of the speed ramps and doing cool stuff.
They are, but like, what is that going to do for you in the long run?
Right.
If you're doing it just to gain followers and do it for views and stuff like that, you're not really gaining anything from it. Maybe like monetarily wise, sure, to some degree, but like, you're not really learning and growing from it if you're just doing it for that sole fact, So
what do you think that, because I always wonder this too, like for all the guys who are doing speed ramp edits, like what's the goal? Like what do you think they're trying to do? Like, okay, you get to 100,000 followers or even 150,000 followers. Are they getting more clients, you think? Are people, you know what I'm saying?
So I think there's like different groups. I think some people do that trend, right? And they get to a certain point and they go on to the next trend and they just kind of like build a follower basis with no like real end goal in mind. However, I do know other people who do that style of editing and they do it for a purpose to get hired by like a production company or house or some big company that will, be able to use their talents for that kind of thing. So like some people have an end goal, but some people literally just do it for social content, which is, I guess if you want to do that, sure. But there's no like end goal to that really, for me at least, see that.
It's crazy because I know we talked about like H20 and the car scene kind of changing a little bit, but the car videography or even just pictures or photography, whatever it is, I think everything's changed as a whole because like with that mindset, it's like when we used to film, our goal was to build a portfolio. That way we can get bigger clients or even hopefully one day shoot commercials. You have to have a body of work. And I think that it's so much easier now to make trendy edits and go into a shop and say, hey, this is what I can do. I have 150,000 followers. I can do this for your shop. But I don't think that's sustainable. I mean,
it's not, but I think people also go with the mindset of, because it happens now too, people do these trendy edits and then you'll get a company like McLaren or Ferrari and be like, hey, can you do this for us? And then they see that it opens the door to that and like, maybe their mindset changes. They're like, oh, maybe this actually leads to something else, instead of just doing it for just content and clout and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a weird, man. I just don't.
But what happens when you get your foot in the door? Because think about it. If you're only doing trendy edits, let's say McLaren says, hey, I love your content. We want to have you come in and we want to fly you out to do a video of our new McLaren. Cool. What happens when they say, hey, we want you to do a full feature?
Right. Well, exactly. Sometimes it's just a one-off thing, right? And like if you're not well-rounded, you're not going to be able to continue on that path. Like they'll find someone else who is.
Right.
So yeah, it's just like you can't be like a one-trick pony kind of show.
Right. I think there's a lot of one-trick ponies. No disrespect to anybody, because I watch a lot of the content that you guys are making. But I think that just so you guys make your business more sustainable, where you guys can make money in the future, switch it up a little bit. Like learn how to do long form, maybe film horizontal, and learn how to do, maybe go to car shows and just film the whole event and do after movies.
Just have fun.
Just have fun with it. Because I think that you're kind of limiting your potential.
Yeah. And also, I mean, within that long form content, you can base your long form content off the fact that, okay, I'm going to make a lot of micro clips from this.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You can make that whole video based around micro clips, but like, long form content, there's a lot you can learn from it and grow from, for sure.
No, 100%. So what do you use to edit?
I use like spec wise or?
Well, for videos.
So I use a PC and I use Adobe Premiere mainly.
Premiere.
Yeah.
Is there any difference between Final Cut, Premiere, like all these things?
At the current time, it's really just like personal preference. I like Premiere because I've been using that style of timeline for so long,
Right.
where Final Cut Pro is like a different like workflow. A lot of people I know switch to DaVinci Resolve because they have issues with Adobe. You know,
Adobe's. I'm not gonna. Adobe is terrible.
Knock on wood, bro. I've had like no problems, but a few buddies of mine, like that shit crashes like every day for them, like multiple times a day, and like they can't get shit done. Same PC specs, everything. You know.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand.
No, but knock on wood, I haven't had issues, so I've like thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been, you know, easy process for me to like learn, which has been great.
Does your workspace get saved? Because I find that like I open up Premiere and I move things around it's just become a thing where I just really thought about it just now. Every time I change up my boxes, my workspace, my media browser, my project manager, I open it up for a new project and it's like I have to reset it every single time.
80% of the time it does, and it's the weirdest thing. I'm like 80%. Why isn't it 100%?
That's what I'm saying.
I'll open it like one day, like a week after I don't edit something, and then there's like a random box here, a pop-up window. I'm like, what the?
Like essentially, like graphics is like open. It's like, dude, I didn't even open this last time.
Why are you here? What is it? What is?
But that's what I mean. I don't think Adobe's a bad like program. I just think it's not consistent.
No, it's not, and it's got bugs for sure.
Ton of bugs.
Yeah, and
a ton,
and I've definitely had my frustrations with it. I've had like blue screens from it. It's been annoying sometimes for sure, but overall it's been okay. Yeah, it's almost like picking like the best of like, you know, programs that, you know, like best of the worst kind of situation.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, Adobe's my jam for right now.
Adobe gets the job done. I used to film on I used to edit on Resolve.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I couldn't get used to it though.
No.
I really couldn't. It's free, great program, but I think that in terms of speed, I think Premiere is probably the fastest. I think you can get things done much quicker on there, and I think that when you like, even if you're vlogging, you can do cuts and everything if you have your, you know, shortcuts set up much faster. It's just, I don't know, it's just easier to work with.
I agree, and it definitely depends on personal preference, but
100%.
I do know people now that have switched to Resolve, and Resolve has gotten a lot better than what it used to be. So
really, okay.
The workflow's better, it's less buggy. Does it still have its problems? Sure, yeah. But I know a lot of people who use it now and they prefer it over Premiere and Final Cut, but it all comes down to personal preference. But also you can't just like dive into one of the programs for like a week or two and be like, oh, I don't like it. You know, you really actually got to learn the program and see the ins and outs of it to really, you know, deep dive and see if you're comfortable with it.
No, 100%. I think that's, well, I had no choice because I had the Blackmagic.
Right.
So I could have edited on, actually I couldn't because they didn't have the Kodak yet for B-roll, I think it was on Premiere.
Oh, really?
Super technical stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
But I did learn on the Resolve. It was cool, but Premiere is just where it's at for right now. Final Cut's great too. You edit with Final Cut, Tristan? No? You're a Premiere guy? Yeah.
Nice.
Seems like it. I can kind of tell. You know, it's
like a Premiere guy.
He seems like a Premiere guy. He's got an Android also. Oh. So, nah, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Get out, bro.
I'm joking. So, for those who are watching, right, for the people who, you know, who love your content, or people who want to get some information from you, since your experience and your content's amazing, give me the car videographer starter kit.
Car videographer starter kit. Damn. Car videographer starter kit, gimbal, Sony camera, zoom lens.
Zoom lens,
decent location. Shit, what else would there be? That's pretty much it for a starter kit.
Yeah.
Starter kit, what, in like equipment terms?
Yeah. Let's say, you know, if they wanted to go to the store and just buy, you know, they want to start filming car videos, they want to go to Best Buy and pick up some equipment.
Honestly, I got one better. Don't even use the gimbal first, because the problem when people use the gimbal is that they overuse the gimbal.
Ooh, okay.
Right? So you see it in every video. I was guilty of it, and then I started watching other people's content, and like, because it got to a point where my content felt very stagnant or stale, because it's like, gimbal movement's sick, but like if it's only that, it kind of gets monotonous.
You lose the raw emotion. Like if somebody's walking to a car, sometimes you want to get that handheld look to it.
So starter kit would actually be just get the DSLR camera, learn to use your object and, you know, your people in it and the environment. Learn to tell a story first, just so it's not your generic car content that most people put out.
Yeah.
You know, learn to use the camera, learn to like work with the subject, make it as dynamic as possible, and then start to introduce other tools like the gimbal. So starter kit, bro, just DSLR and lens. That's it. A7S2 and a kit lens. That's it.
You know, the zoom lens I was talking about, it wasn't a 28-70. I think it was 24-105 f4.
Oh, that
Canon.
one. Yeah. Okay.
That is not a kit lens.
Yeah.
I know.
No.
That's a good lens.
Yeah.
I started on Canon. So I said 28-70. That's a newer. That's like a Sigma. I think they make that, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
And I think you're missing one thing though. Well, maybe not. Do you feel like you need a CPL when you're filming for cars?
Damn, bro, I can't believe I forgot about them.
ND
CPL,
filters?
bro.
What about no filters?
CPL for sure, 100%. I use an ND/CPL combo.
CPL is a polarizer, guy. So
Yes.
can you explain what a CPL is?
Circular polarizer. So essentially what it's going to do is you'll twist the filter and it's going to take out certain reflections in the car or even on the ground too. Like a lot of times when you're filming on asphalt or a track or whatever, it can be kind of washed out. You turn the CPL, it'll darken it and give it a little more contrast.
I didn't even know that. See, you learn something new every day.
Yeah.
So for tracks, like for a certain like ground, like you need to have...
it's usually just like black asphalt, you know, that'll do it. So
Really?
sometimes it's like a little bit like too shiny or like a little bit washed out. You turn the CPL, it'll darken it and give it more contrast. Yeah.
What happens to the windshield though?
So the windshield, depending on in most scenarios, it'll darken the windshield and take out reflections too. But it depends, right? Because sometimes you want those reflections, or sometimes because you can go in between too, right? You can have like half.
I do that on the quarter panel sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, half reflection, half nice. So like it really depends what you want it to look like, but it is a necessity to have for sure. But like there are times where I'll shoot a scene where someone's driving in the car, and I actually like seeing trees and stuff go over the car. And if I turn the CPL the whole way, I wouldn't really see that. So I'll do it half, and like I'll see it just gives the shot a little bit more like dynamic movement to it. So like you'll see the leaves and trees going over like half the windshield or half the subject's face, you know, but you'll still be able to see them. So it depends on your taste, you know, but CPL for sure, 100%.
See, I definitely didn't know that. That's dope. So what about ND filter?
ND filter. Yeah. I mean, they're both a necessity, whether you can only get one or both at the same time. I don't like stacking them. So you can buy like an ND filter separately and a CPL and then you stack them. I don't like that. It's too messy. Like it just, the quality of the glass is just, I just don't love it. So if you can buy I use a brand called Genius Tech, which is an ND CPL all in one, which I saw you
use that when we did the PCNY thing a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And that was pretty good. It looks good. It's good.
Thing's a lifesaver. But I mean, you need an ND to control light because that's what's control your f-stop and what controls how the video is really going to look. Because if you shoot everything in f9, for example, that means everything's basically in focus. So if you want to look like that, fine. If you don't, you want to shoot at a lower f-stop, like at f4, f3, 3.5.
Right.
You're going to get obviously a little more blur in the background, et cetera, and it'll look different. So, I mean, you need ND to control light, not just for that, but also for your shutter speed also. Yeah. Because if you're shooting in 24 and you want your shutter at 1/50th, you're going to need ND to cut out that light. Because if you bump up the shutter to, let's say, 1/200 at 24 frames, it's going to look super jittery, which if you're filming like a horror scene or something, sure, that works, but for this kind of stuff, not always. Yeah.
You want to have as much motion blur on the streets too to make the car look faster, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, that's what I like at least. Everyone has like a different preference and stuff, but yeah, I love seeing the car. It's actually, it's great to see like when you're in the editing program, whatever you use, and you see the car literally like tack sharp, and you see everything around it like completely blurry.
That's dope.
It's really cool. It's basically a photo, Yeah,
it's the same thing.
It really is. And then when you see that, you're like, oh, I really understand why controlling light and settings are very important. Right. Obviously.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think you start to learn that stuff the more shoots you do. And that's why it's important to keep doing like free shoots, because the people who are waiting for paid gigs, you might be sitting around waiting and you might not get enough practice to be able to have the experience to kind of know the things that you do.
And also just like have fun with it.
Yeah.
Like do stuff that you're passionate about. Don't always do, hustling's great, obviously, and making money and all that stuff. But if you hustle too much, you start to lose passion for what you're doing, and 100%. You start to really treat it as like a job, which to a degree, it is if you do it full time, but like you really got to you have to enjoy the process of it. And I'm guilty of it too. Like there are times where I'm just like in a hustle mindset. There's so much like projects and shit going on that like I forget, but you have to like rein yourself back in and be like, oh wow, this is actually like really enjoyable. And like sometimes I'll just do like a big project for free because it puts me back in that mindset and I like just have fun with that project.
Right.
You know?
So there's one thing that like when I'm filming, that's different with cars than it is for like music videos or portraits, right? When you film car stuff, do you film like a higher aperture, like which means technically everything's in focus, or you film lower? Because like when you're doing portraits, you want that like kind of that like blurred out effect in the background. You want to have more depth. So normally for like portraits, I usually shoot lower f-stops. But for car stuff, do you normally shoot higher? Like
I shoot mid-range, and the reason for that is like when it's just like personal preference and style. But like when if I were to shoot at like 1.8 or 2.0, for me, it almost looks like too fake. Like there's a time and a place for it, but for me, I like to have like a good happy medium between, very blurry and not, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I like to have that like mid-range spot. There are times where like there are certain specific shots where like I know I want to shoot wide open because I know I want to look this way, but like I won't shoot an entire video like that.
Right.
Unless I like specifically plan something out to do that, but I usually like around like an f4 to 5.6.
Yeah. And that's normally where I film too. If I ever do car videos or for my stuff, but it's sad. I never get rollers in my car. Unfortunately, you're actually the only person who filmed rollers of my car, like an actual video.
I'm so happy we did that because that shit was so dope.
Yeah, no, it was. That video was, I mean, I kind of don't want to do another one, but I want to do it with a different setup. Let
me know.
We'll get there.
Another passion project. I like it.
We'll get there.
Hell yeah.
So I saw this cool setup that you had on the back of, or on the front of, or on the back, or on the front.
Everywhere.
Or on the back.
Everywhere.
So there's a Supra,
like
Mo from Petrolworks,
yep,
that you had this crazy car rig set up on. Can you talk about that?
Oh, hell yeah. That was so much fun, dude. So Mo from Petrolworks, got to give him a shout out because he pulls through for me every time. He made a custom tow hitch on a Mark V Supra, 2-inch tow hitch that I'm able to mount metal piping or speed rail to that lets me put a arm on. So I use two different arms. I use Motocrane's SRB arm, which is for like the bigger camera packages, like the Red Geminis, like with the Movi Pro and stuff. And then I'll use the smaller one for like, just depends on the job. It's called the Movmax N2 Mini.
I looked into that one.
Which it's really, for the money, man, it's awesome. And
how much does it go for? Is it like, is that the $5,000 one, or there's like a $10,000 one?
So that's like the $4,000 to $5,000 one, but like it comes with a whole bunch of shit. The $10,000 one is their big arm,
right? Big arm.
But it's great. That one holds the Mini holds like an RS2 or RS3 Pro and like a DSLR, and it's bang for buck. It is very good, but different situations call for different things.
Right.
But yeah, so for Mo's Supra, the Mark V, we were at a roll racing event in the Poconos for Race Motive. So, these cars can get all the way up to like 210 miles an hour and we're documenting the event. So, before that, I was like, Mo, we got to do something dope because I didn't want to make just the generic like recap video of like cars, panning left and right or like whatever vantage points. You can't use a drone there. So I couldn't do anything like that. So like, Mo, we got to do something dope. So he makes this custom tow hitch and we set up this whole rig with a Motocrane SRB, the Red Gemini and Movi Pro. And we're going 144 miles an hour down the Pocono Raceway, literally tracking cars to make the most like dynamic video possible. It was sick. It was super like sketchy because like to be honest,
camera a red on there too.
Yeah, I mean we had like safety like stuff rigged to it, but we get there and I'm with my buddy Wes and Crispy also because we're all rigging this thing, and this was the first time like I was going to go this fast. It wasn't the speed that like worried me like for myself. It was like all the stuff on the car, even though we had safety stuff like tethered to and whatnot. Like it's a very expensive camera. It's like, it's very, nerve wracking. Right. We go do like the first pass with it. I'm like kind of like sweating, like freaking out. And then we do the second pass. I'm like, okay. And then by the third pass, I'm like, all right, like we're in it. So like, we're going to film all day with this thing. Like it's holding up. It's great. We do like safety checks, after like every single run, that kind of stuff. But yeah, 144 miles an hour in a camera car. And the footage is like phenomenal. Held up perfectly.
Did you have to use any warp stabilizer? I didn't even see the footage on it. Did you post it?
Yes. Yeah. I saw when you guys like behind the scenes of it. I never saw the clips though.
Well,
Yeah.
that's probably because I haven't been active on
Instagram algorithms whack. We all know this, but yeah, I did post it. And I can show you some other clips.
I'll put it up.
Well.
They'll probably you guys probably see it like up on the screen right now.
So I didn't use any warp stabilizer for the sole fact that I want to show the actual speed. I mean, you could see the speed we were going.
Right,
but like I
right,
really
right.
want to show speed. So
Yeah.
to be honest, like it was like 90% smooth. Right. The rest was kind of like a little bit jitter and shake, but it was perfect because like we're catching up with these cars. They're going.
No,
really,
it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes
so like
sense.
it was fine. If I used warp stabilizer, it honestly would look weird.
Right.
You know, it being so smooth.
I think that goes back to the point where you said before, though, like, you know, using a Ronin as opposed to shooting handheld for certain things.
Yeah.
I think for something like that to show the speed and how raw the energy is with the cars and how fast they're going, I think you kind of do want that shake in it a little bit.
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, there are directors and DPs out there who will like specifically show speed by making the gimbal do weird movements or making it like slightly off balance because they know it'll provide like that proper jitter or shake.
You know what that is?
What do you mean?
So there's this
Shaker box?
Yeah.
I know the shaker box. Come on. So people do use that, but there are other people who don't even use that at all because sometimes the shaker box is like shaker box.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, facts. Sometimes the shaker box is like a little too much, or some people like don't even want to put it on, so like they'll
right.
Yeah, bro, I know the shaker box.
Because usually on those crazy expensive car commercials, you can use stuff like that on there because they have all the equipment to make it look however they want it to, but when you're on a gimbal and you're like hanging out your boy's car, you don't really want to be messing around with that.
Yeah, no, definitely
because it's probably already shaky as it is from the wind slapping the camera.
100%, bro.
It's funny.
Yeah,
there's this guy, I think we spoke about him last time. His stuff is so fire. What is his name? He did the Pennzoil commercials.
Ozan.
Yes, Ozan, and the other guy too.
Who did Pennzoil?
He didn't do Pennzoil. He did an Acura Integra commercial recently, and I think he also did an Audi commercial as well.
Maybe use McGregor Works.
Yes, McGregor Works. Yes,
yeah, dude,
yes.
That dude's all over the place. Him, Sweatpants Media, Ozan Byron.
Right.
Okay, what's crazy? I'm gonna deviate a little bit.
No, you're good.
So, you know the show Wolfscart?
Yes.
The automotive show.
Yes.
Right. So I recap it every year.
Right.
And each year I'll submit like videos that I make or films that I make to like film festivals. Right. So I submitted Wolfscart 12 to the London Motor Film Awards, which is hosted in London. This was their 10th year doing it. It is like the top of the top award ceremony. Like thousands and thousands of people will submit their films to this, and there's about 12 categories, and within those 12 categories, there's 10 people that get nominated for that category. So I submitted Wolfscart, and that got into the best event film category.
Wow.
So
good shit, dude.
Thank you, man. It's
huge.
been like a highlight of my career. We didn't end up winning because when I say top of the top, I'm talking about like Pennzoil, like multi-million-dollar budgets.
That's still,
dude. I was hyped.
Crazy.
I was hyped to even be nominated. So like, I went there, and I'm bringing this full circle because I've never met Ozan, but Motor Film Awards actually brought him in to do some speaking. So I actually met him there, and I met the Sweatpants Media guys and the guys who work with McGregor Works.
Right.
Also, they're all like awesome dudes. And
really,
they're all car guys. They all love this shit. They're awesome people. So if you guys, watching this or in the automotive field, definitely look those guys up because they're inspiration for sure.
I used to, the night before, I think we're all guilty of like having shoots and then like night before trying to get some inspiration. You're watching these car commercials and you're like, dude, I could do this. I could make this happen tomorrow. So the McGregor Works is like the one guy I watch. Those Pennzoil commercials, I've watched those thousands of times. And I've tried to emulate them so many times, and then the shoot never goes as planned because you hit traffic.
Yeah, I mean, you can replicate it to like a degree, right? But then, New York, you hit
New York, you can't do shit like that.
I mean, these crews they're like 50, 60 man crews.
Yeah,
sometimes even more. The multi-million-dollar budgets are shutting down roads and stuff.
Right.
It's different, but there are ways you can emulate it for sure. Absolutely,
no, 100%.
It's definitely inspirational.
Those are like high budget shoots.
Yeah.
And if you don't really know and you're watching something like that, it's like music videos. People will tell me like, yo, I want my shit to look like this. And it's like, okay, do you know how much money that costs to do that?
So what's your
budget? You want me to have my camera and my gimbal in the room doing this for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Exactly. What's your budget?
So what's your budget?
What's your budget? Speaking of budgets, I know we mentioned earlier before about clients and how it's tough now because a lot of people aren't really pushing more for long form content. So how has it been lately for yourself and other videographers who normally shoot long form features to get work? Is it easy?
No, it's definitely been more difficult. It's been harder for sure. I've gotten hit up to just specifically create short form content for people in their cars. I don't have any interest in it. Like for me, I love the creative process behind making a long form video and then cutting out smaller short form content segments from that. So I can also host it on YouTube in my channel, and the people who are subscribed to me on YouTube can see it. Cause I mean, short form is, cool to a degree, but for me, the creative process just isn't really there. And also, can you be creative with vertical short form content? Sure, but you're also limited in the actual space framing and everything that you have. So it's different. It's for sure been harder, and I hope it changes kind of back to the way it was, or at least takes somewhat of a different route. But I'll always be doing widescreen long form content.
Do you think it works both ways? So you know how we were saying before that a lot of the trendy edits, those people aren't going to be, I'm not going to say they're not going to be, but it's not sustainable. Do you think it's the same for long form content creators, people who have been doing it for years, to kind of have to switch towards the short form? Because if you're doing long form and that's all you want to do, it's not really sustainable, because if all these companies want short form content, you kind of have to adapt, Yeah.
I mean, there's always going to be, or at least I think there's always going to be a world where, content lives on YouTube. They live on streaming platforms. They live on TVs at trade shows or whatever. So unless those all change to vertical,
unless TVs go sideways.
Yeah. I think there's always going to be I don't think it'll be obsolete, to be honest. No.
You don't think so?
No, I think there's always going to be some path for it.
Right. I'm curious. I don't even know. I really don't.
It's kind of scary, to be honest.
It is scary unless you're one of those top guys like we spoke about before, like McGregor Works, who's getting these commercial gigs.
Right.
But even then, I'm sure that they have to either make some changes in their workflow when they're shooting. They might have to frame shots a certain way because it might be for Snapchat or some other platform where they have to make it short form.
I know if I had to shift my whole business and filming career to just create vertical short form content, I don't know if I'd still do it, to be honest. I really don't.
Really?
Yeah. It's very like mind numbing to me. It literally, you're just like in this box.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to get creative.
I actually like it though.
Do you?
Dude, I don't.
In what way?
It's just easier. So I was charging like, I don't know, like $500 for music videos when I first started. Mm-hmm. And I can get the same amount of money, if not close to it, doing a short form content. I'm not going to do no $100. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, of course.
But people will pay for it because along with the content comes, like, if they see that it's getting traction, they obviously think that you're the reason for it. Mm-hmm. So, and it's true, you are the reason for it. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's easier to deal with clients that way because they're only getting 30 seconds of content. Mm-hmm. Before, if you're doing a 4-minute feature and you choose a song, you're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
So if you're doing a 30-second video and you want to change the song, it's not a big deal. You just slide some clips around.
Right.
You can kind of do it for the 4-minute or even 15-minute video, but just imagine having to change the song for like a 4-minute section of a 15-minute video.
Oh yeah, no.
It's kind of
brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal, and you're not getting paid for that.
There's definitely a place for it for sure, but like, I mean, at least for me, like if it was just solely short form content and vertical. Right. Like it would, to me, it would be treated as almost literally just like a 9-to-5 job at that point. Where like I would still enjoy it for sure, but like a lot of the creativity for me gets like taken away.
No, it definitely does. I mean, YouTube is always going to be YouTube. It's always going to have a platform. They're not going to eliminate the horizontal 16:9.
No way.
They're not going to go towards just shorts, even though shorts are kind of doing really well.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be a place for, I guess, if you want to say landscape or. Yeah. Horizontal video, whatever you want to call it. I
think there's a world where they both, live in the same world in harmony for sure.
No, 100%.
I don't think one's going to necessarily like fully overtake another.
You just got to learn how to use, not you, I'm just saying if you're watching, you guys have to learn how to use the short form to kind of push the long form content. Yeah. Because one of the things that people miss out on is, using the tools that are given to us. So if there's shorts, post on shorts or make a highlight from the long form video,
Yeah.
cut it down to make the shorts video. That way you can promote the long form video and get the views, because that's where the money comes in.
Oh, for
That's
sure.
so
If you want to grow your
monetize.
YouTube channel, shorts is
Yeah.
it right now.
No,
I don't know for how
100%.
long, but for right now, it is it for
Yeah.
sure. I will gain more subscriber traction on shorts than I will long form video, and like for obvious reasons, you know. But like if you're not doing that right now, you got to hop on that.
Are you on
but-
TikTok at all?
Yeah.
You are? How do you feel about TikTok and the algorithm? Do you think it like caters towards like car videographers?
I think it actually works better than Instagram. Yeah.
Really?
I do for
Really?
my stuff at least.
Okay.
For sure.
It depends. It's subjective.
Because I have a bigger following on Instagram than I do TikTok, but TikTok has way more engagement usually.
Yeah.
And the videos on there tend to just like do better overall.
Right.
Instagram's algorithm is like extremely.
It changes too often.
It changes too often. It's just like it's whack. I follow like 1,500 people. I only see like 30. You know, like it's taken such a bad turn.
Now you're seeing, which is crazy because it wasn't like this. So me and Tristan, we used to film, like when I first started growing my platform, we used to film all the time. And when you film all the time, you're posting, you see how things react. I haven't really filmed. I'm not sure. You haven't filmed anything. Yeah. So it's kind of just because of how like much has changed. You kind of lose like motivation.
Yeah.
But now you're starting to see more people you don't even follow on your feed now.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't even know. Yeah.
Why?
It's like, why? So then it's kind of tough to kind of get followers sometimes, because I don't want to say it's tough to get followers, but when you're seeing somebody random and you like their content, you could just hit it and keep scrolling.
Yeah.
Not even realizing. Sometimes I even say like, damn, do I follow this person?
Yeah.
Just because we're so used to seeing Instagram feeds with people that we follow.
Yeah.
They didn't tell us like, hey, by the way, you're just going to see a bunch of random stuff. So now it's like when you see stuff, you're like, wait, I follow this person? And then you start checking out their page. But just because it's changing so often, I feel like it's like you don't even know what to push for anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There'll be people who argue against that, be like, oh, you're not creating engaging enough content.
Which I agree.
Right content.
That's a valid point.
To a degree, but like for me personally, I've dabbled in like creating so many different styles of videos to create engaging content, and I haven't like found a solution where one does like drastically better than the other. I've literally made a 7-second clip of a car rolling, literally nothing else, and it just completely went viral. Whereas I'll make, a 20-second like banging edit, or I'll make a video that has like subtitles over it, like very engaging, and it, 1,000 views. You know? So like, what do you do?
What are the comments on the 7-second videos? Have you checked them out?
They're like, sometimes it revolves around just like the car that gets posted, right? It's like, oh, the sick car or whatever. Or it's just like, oh, this shot is sick. Meanwhile, it's just a generic like rolling shot. So it's like, it's very
It's so
confusing sometimes.
I
But,
don't
like,
get it. It's hard too, because cars can't talk, you know?
Right.
So like it really matters like how you film it, I guess, but it kind of doesn't, because you may think it's a fire shot, and it is, but then it's like it gets no engagement.
Right.
It's like I really don't understand the whole car thing. That's why I try to stay away from posting cars.
Yeah.
Like, or not cars, but like my car. Like I used to do a lot of car content, but what's the point?
Yeah.
If you get 80,000, 100,000 followers, then what?
Yeah.
I
guess the
like,
important thing is to really just like not get discouraged about it, even though it is super annoying.
100%.
Because I mean, like 4 years ago, you or I post something, gets more engagement that does now, even though you have more followers, whatever. I'm sure many people can attest to that, but yeah, you can't get discouraged about it. Just gotta, hustle through it.
100%. So what's next for you, man? So I know you're obviously, you have your company, you have Black Cell Productions, but you're always working. You're always
Too
busy.
much, man. I'm up at like 4 or 5 every morning. I'm tired, bro.
So we had to schedule this interview like a month out, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were busy last time.
Traveling
So where do you go from here? Because it's hard to like get out of this unless you have somebody else replacing you and kind of running the business for you. So is that your goal, to like kind of have somebody oversee the business, and then that way you can take a step away and kind of focus on things you want to focus on, hobbies or?
A little bit. Like I'm definitely not done in this space, whatever. Like I want to grow a lot more. Like I want to have big warehouse doing like really cool production shoots, stuff like that. And really diving more into like the McGregor Works realm, the Ozan realm, and like really doing like cool, big budget stuff like that. Cause it's a lot of fun in that, but there's, to do that also is to bring people on board that can supplement your time. So you can have that extra time to like go and do those sort of things, so that's kind of what's on the horizon. Like I work nonstop to like do this, so really that's what I'm pushing for sure.
yeah, I definitely am grateful for you being here, bro. I really
Hell yeah,
appreciate your
man.
time. So tell the viewers where to find you.
So you can find me at Schwaa Films on Instagram and YouTube, SCHWAA FILMS. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, I'm on there. My full service production company is called Black Sail Productions. So you can, same thing, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and all that. So
Dope. Guys, definitely go check him out. His content is great. He's been doing this for years. And if you guys are here for the H2O content, you definitely know who he is. And hopefully we can bring back H2O. Maybe I should make some shirts say bring back H2O.
you might start a movement.
Oh, that'd be dope, right?
I'll be the first on board, bro.
I'm sure there's
I'm in
probably
there.
shirts. I probably shouldn't say that out loud because then there's probably some guy who's going to print it tonight and press the shirt in his
Yeah,
bedroom.
you're right. Yeah, copycats, dude.
No, I'm kidding. But yeah, until next time, bro.
Hell yeah.
So if you guys are watching, please make sure you guys hit that like button. Continue to listen on all streaming platforms. Catch you on the next one. Peace.